But it's only one of 3 policy initiatives that the NPO mayors are pursuing. The second policy initiative is that we need to support active transportation modes and build walkable communities. This is a map showing you the candidate projects that have been submitted to the NPO for consideration of funding in the 2035 plan throughout the counties, particularly in the Nashville area NPO study area. And when you consider that 50% of trips within an urban area are 3 miles or less, 40% are 2 miles or less. I mean, these are very walkable and bikeable distances. If you can get some percentage of those 50 or 40% of trips off the roads and into walking and biking modes of transportation, you begin to expand the capacity of your roadway system without picking up a shovel to widen it, or buying right-of-way, or displacing families that live along the edge of our roadways in the urban area. And if you consider that 30% of morning rush hour traffic in urban areas is attributed to parents taking their kids to school, it begins to make very clear sense that we need to be proactive about connecting residential areas with schools and making it safe for kids to walk to school again. Back in the 50s and 60s, about half of all kids walked to school. That's down to about 15% today, which is placing an enormous burden on our school systems to transport kids back and forth to school when they ought to be able to use that money to buy supplies and pay teacher salaries. And then we need to support active transportation. I was a little bit hazy when I woke up this morning, but I swear I heard on Channel 4 before the Today Show came on that Nashville was just ranked the worst, or I guess I should say the state of Tennessee was just ranked dead last in terms of physical activity in the nation. And if you consider nationally that we spend $4 on treating diseases as a result of physical inactivity, to every $1 we spend on active transportation modes or transportation in general, we've seemed to get our priorities mixed up. Imagine a day when maybe we're spending $1 for every treating diseases caused by the lack of physical activity and $4 on transportation to create an environment that prevents diseases in the first place. And this is a simulation of what it might be like to begin to complete streets throughout the region. And this is up in Clarksville. This is the old hospital. And just imagining what it might be like to redevelop that area and build sidewalks and bicycle lanes and transit lanes to connect people to places, whether they be places they work, shop, or socialize. And then the third policy initiative, maybe the most important one of all, particularly in the wake of the flood, is that we need to take care of what we have first. First and foremost, we got to fix what we have. Across the nation, bridges are crumbling, roadway infrastructure is deteriorating. We've got to be able to take care of that before we begin building anything new. And not just new transit, but new roadways. We can't continue to build roadways at the rate we're doing if we can't prove that we can continue to maintain them. So this is a look at strategic roadway corridor improvements that have been submitted to the NPO for consideration as we prepare this 2035 plan and select projects for funding. You see there's, I didn't put a ledge on here so you don't know what you're looking at, but this shows you the roadway widening projects, the new roadways that might be built in the future, various intersection improvements. The dark red lines, though, are very inspiring. Those dark red lines represent roadway widening projects that local governments and local communities are also planning to implement sidewalks and bicycle lanes. So like I said, we need to certainly need to build new infrastructure to support economic development, but we also need to make sure that we're maintaining what we have in front of us. And then lastly on this issue, as part of this policy initiative, is that we need to proactively begin investing in technologies to make our system more efficient. This is a look at the Traffic Operations Center over at TDOT's Region 3 headquarters, where they're able to monitor the performance of the roadway system, so if there's an accident or an incident, they can get help out there right away, and they can operate the system more efficiently. If you consider that congestion is primarily caused by accidents and incidents, you can imagine that maybe the top solution to dealing with congestion would be clearing those incidents. So we began to realize that we need to begin investing money in these types of solutions in addition to building new facilities.